How do you know what you are saying is true? How do you know what you are saying is true? Why do you ask me that question? Isn't it true that as long as there is national division, economic division, racial division, religious division, there must be conflict. That's a fact. Right? Would you accept that? So it's not what I say to be true, but the fact itself. Facts themselves show what the truth is. As we talked the other day about relationship, as long as there is this separation between two human beings, psychologically, there must be conflict. That's a fact. It's not that what I say, how do I know what I say is true, but it's a fact that as long as I am ambitious and pursuing my particular form of pleasure, particular fulfillment, and my wife or husband does, or girlfriend does the same, we must inevitably end up in conflict. That's a fact. So it's not how do I know what truth is. First of all, let us look at facts. We are greatly prejudiced people. We have a great many prejudices. We have cultivated them. We have strengthened them by public opinion and so on, that our prejudices prevent understanding other people. Right? That's a fact. So, can one be free of prejudices, free of certain opinions which become so very strong in our lives? And the question then arises, how is it possible for human beings to be free of prejudices? That we can discuss, that we can have a conversation, a dialogue, and say, look, I have prejudices, suppose I have them, and you have them. And so, these prejudices, whether they are idealistic prejudices, capitalist prejudices, totalitarian prejudices, religious prejudices, they divide people. Right? It's simple fact. And where there is division, there must be conflict. The Arabs and the Jews, the Islamic world and the rest of the world, those who are terribly bigoted and those who are not must be in conflict. It's a fact. I have nothing to do with it. Isn't how do I know what I am saying is true? We are just facing facts. Now, what is a fact? What do you think is a fact? That which has happened before, an incident, a car accident, that's a fact. Or what is happening now, sitting here, is a fact. But what will happen in the future may not be a fact. So, fact implies that which has happened before, yesterday, walking along the lane, I met a viper, I saw it, it didn't bite, that's a fact. And what is happening now, what I am thinking, what I am doing now is a fact. And what I will do may not be a fact. It might happen or might not happen. So if you are clear on what is a fact, and then what is an idea, you understand? Is an idea a fact? You understand? And the word idea, Greek and so on, Latin, means to observe. The root meaning of that word, idea, is to observe, to perceive, to see. What we do is see a fact and make an abstraction of it and then pursue the idea, which means there is always the fact and a conclusion from the fact. And pursue the fact, pursue the conclusion, not the understanding of the fact. Am I making myself clear? So please, it's not how do you know what you are saying is to be true. The speaker is merely pointing out facts. Those facts are not personal. If I say, I'm a Hindu and stick to it, that's a fact. Whether it's an illusion, whether it is some kind of superstitious, sentimental nonsense, that's also a fact. Yes, fact can be an illusion or actual. But most of us live with illusions. I'm in India, that's an illusion. And you are, if I may most gently point out, you are British. That's also an illusion. This tribal insular worship is destroying the world. That's a fact. As long as I am an Arab and you are something else, I'm going to destroy you, because I believe by destroying you I go to heaven. Right? That's an illusion which they have accepted as a fact, and for that illusion they are willing to fight and kill and destroy. Right? So, can we always deal with facts? I'm not. Can we always be with facts? Not translate the facts according to my prejudice, according to my belief, according to my neurotic illusions, however noble they are. Can I look at these facts and understand what those facts are saying? Suppose I had an accident in a car. Can I look at that fact that I'm rather careless, driving too fast, not paying complete attention to what I was doing because I was talking to my friend next to me? That's a fact. But I then say, no, it's your fault because, you know, the other fellow is the fool. Now, it's a fact that we have ideals. Right? Don't you all have ideals? No? I wish we could have a dialogue, friendly, talk to each other. Don't you have ideals? I'm afraid you do. Ideals. What are those ideals? Are they facts? The ideal that we must live peaceful, right? The ideal that we must be, whatever it is, non-violent, or the ideals of a communist, which are drawn from historical study, but those studies are prejudiced by my conditioning. So, why do we have ideals at all? I know this is a dangerous thing to say, because most of us live with these extraordinary ideals. We are questioning. Please, I'm not saying you should or should not have ideals. I'm saying, why do we have ideals? Faiths, beliefs. As a Christian, as a Buddhist, as a Hindu, I'm an American, you are British, all the rest of it. Why? Is it our brain is incapable of living without any illusion? How do you say to that? Is my brain capable, strong, vital, to understand things as they are and not create a future ideal? Ideal is non-existent, right? All Christians and all religious people believe that you must not kill, right? And probably the Christians have killed more than anybody else, right? I admit it, so don't be... And the Islamic world have killed more, not so many as the Christians. And probably the Buddhists and the Hindus come much on a lower scale because they are barbarians. They are uncivilized people. And so it goes on. And we know that ideals of every kind, faith, belief, divide people. Right? That's a fact. So can we be free of ideals, of faith, of being identified with one group and against another group which identifies with another? You follow? Be free of all this. Could we? Or is that impossible? If we could have a dialogue about this, then we'd exchange. Yes, it is possible, it's not possible. Why is not possible? You understand? Could we do that now? To have a free mind, free brain, that's not cluttered up with a lot of rubbish, a lot of illusions. Is that possible? And some of you may say, no, it's not possible, because I can't live without my beliefs. I must have my ideals, my faith, otherwise I'm lost. With your faith, with your beliefs, with your ideals, you're already lost. That's a fact, you're very lost people. But whereas you could have a dialogue, conversation, say, why do I cling to my particular prejudice, particular ideal, and so on? Why have I identified myself with it? Why do I identify myself with anything? You follow? Push it. Push it deeply to find out why we do all these things. Why we have allowed ourselves to be programmed, why we are afraid of public opinion, and so on and so on. So the question, how do you know what you are saying is true, I'm afraid has very little meaning. Truth is not something that is mysterious. Truth is where you are. From there we can begin. Truth is I'm angry, I'm jealous, I'm aggressive, I quarrel. That's a truth, that's a fact. So one must begin, if one may most respectfully point out, where one is. That's why it's important to know oneself, to have complete knowledge of oneself, not from others, not from psychologists, brain specialists and so on, but to know what you are. Because you are the story of mankind. You understand all this? If you know how to read that book, which is yourself, then you know all the activities and the brutalities and the stupidities of mankind. Because you are the rest of the world. Right? Is that question clear?